Hello, everyone, and welcome to the official 49ers post-practice show that I invented. I'm Cohn. These are my co-hosts, Jack Hammer and Jason Aponte, who are also at practice today. Jack Hammer is now covering the team for the Santa Rosa Press-Democrat, where I used to cover it from. Make sure you follow him. And Jason is covering it for 49ers Gold Mine. He was in the stands, which is a great view, too. So we're all going to be talking from a perspective of people who saw something that very few people saw. So that's why you're watching this show. That's why you could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us right now. But before we talk about what we saw today, let's talk about something else because it's so tantalizing. Could the 49ers, would the 49ers trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the Indianapolis Colts? The reason I ask is because Carson Wentz broke his foot, tore his ligament. I don't know. He pulled the Carson Wentz. So what do you guys think?
It's definitely something that they should be taking a look at. You know, this is exactly what we've been talking about, right? Is a starting quarterback across the league going down, and the 49ers maybe being able to get a little bit more for Garoppolo than we originally thought they could. So if there's some way that they can pull this off, that'd be a huge deal for them.
Yeah, and obviously there's a need right here, and the offense is a fit. You know, you can see that. Plus, Indianapolis is a win-now team, so this isn't something that they're going to kick away and just allow Jacob Eason to start, and I just don't see how that happens. I think that the bigger question becomes, how do they make this happen? And Jimmy Garoppolo would have to restructure, work his deal in some way because they've already paid $20 million to Carson Wentz. Now you're talking about whatever the cap number is for Jimmy Garoppolo. So, I mean, it is something that should be explored, but I think that there's a lot more that goes into it. Jimmy's going to have to he'd have to waive the no-trade clause and also work that deal around to make it work for the Colts. But he's a great fit there, and they're a win-now team, so I could see it. Even if I don't think it'll happen, there's still a need and there's still a fit there.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think it's a live topic because I'm looking here. The Colts have $14 million in cap space. That's not enough. But I think we kind of anticipate the 49ers paying some of the Jimmy Garoppolo bill. Because if they don't, the best they're going to get is like a 6th-round pick or a 7th-round pick. But if they do pay half, they just might get a good second from a good team. And I think maybe that's what the Niners could do here. Pay half of the Jimmy Garoppolo bill, split it with the Colts, get a second rounder back. And here's why I think the Colts would be interested. Like Jason said, they're a win now. They gotta win. They can't go with Eason. They're in a dome, so Jimmy Garoppolo's lack of arm strength would be mitigated there. They're an RPO heavy team anyway. He can do that kind of stuff. They're a good team. I think it's a good fit. I think they're desperate, and I almost think that they would be more inclined to trade for Garoppolo than even the Texans, because the Texans can say, well, we suck. We don't expect to win. Even if we had Deshaun Watson, we had 4 wins with Deshaun Watson. So this is a live one. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the Niners should be trying to make it happen. Yes.
Your point, Grant, as far as, maybe the 49ers splitting the contract up with Indy is a really good point too, because Indianapolis right now has about $14.5 million in salary cap room to work with. So you split up Garoppolo's cap hit and it would fit him in there.
Yeah, I look at that as real quick. Sorry, I just look at that as the Niners like paying for a better pick.
And I discussed this with Javi off the record and everything, or whatever, on the record now. But I mean, the only way that this would really happen is if like Jimmy Garoppolo avoids the rest of his deal, takes a pay cut, and wants to become a free agent, almost betting on himself, right? Like you go to Indianapolis, you go there, you set this up, and you play well, and then you reset your market for next year. So, I mean, a lot has to go into what Jimmy Garoppolo wants to do. Like you said, RPO, all that stuff fits. They have a great offensive line. They have a great running game. They have a great defense. It all works. But a lot of this is going to have to come from Jimmy Garoppolo either wanting to go there and fixing his contract and making it work for the Colts. So, we'll see. But, yes, obviously the Colts can't blow their window right now. They just can't sit there and say, hey, we're going to roll with Jacob Eason. No, this team is ready to go. That's why they traded, for Carson Wentz. And that's what Frank Reich wanted. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes.
This is why Garoppolo's on the team, in my opinion. They're waiting for something like this to happen. And it happened on day 3 of camp. It may happen to other quarterbacks along the line too, but this could be the one, in which case the Niners should definitely pounce. Because I don't know what other moves Indy has up his sleeve if it doesn't do this. What do? I mean, we don't cover that team, but I don't know off the top of my head.
The other thing, that conditional first that was there for the amount of games that Wentz plays, that just turned into a second. for them. They're not getting that the Eagles, right? So that's another thing that I mean, I don't know what that means, but it's crazy to think that right now Carson Wentz is out indefinitely this early with things that people are saying he heard a pop, and it's just a lot of conflicting reports. So I think when we get clarity on exactly what the injury is, how long the timetable is, then you'll start to see where they are as far as moving for a quarterback.
Good point. You're absolutely right. So this could play out over the next couple of days, couple of weeks. Okay.
Yeah, it likely will. And the other thing too, when you look at the Carson Wentz deal, if they do decide to move on from him, if they do make a move, say for Garoppolo, and Garoppolo goes over there and plays well for him, they can get out of that deal with Wentz as early as next year. They have some dead cap, but they actually would save cap space against it. And then the year after that, there's no dead cap at all for him. I mean, it's not like they can't get out of that contract. So, yeah, this is definitely one to keep an eye on.
Good news for the 49ers, what they're waiting for. All right, Holly World has a question. He says, honest opinion from all three of you. Is Trey winning this non-quarterback competition? It seems to be even now. I've been there for 3 days. You've been there for one. Let's talk about Trey Lance. What have you seen from him, and from this first impression, do you feel like he is winning this quarterback competition?
I defer to Jack. You guys had a much better look than I did. I mean, I can see, I have great vision from where I am, but you guys were much closer, so you guys can give a little bit more insight.
Okay, Jack, you first.
No, I think today when you watch them both play, you notice the difference between the two guys. I mean, their completion percentage is pretty close to the same, but one guy's consistently pushing the ball down the field, and the other one's consistently going underneath. I mean, it's not really a knock on Garoppolo to say that. There's a couple times where he didn't have anything else other than to check the ball down, but he doesn't attempt that deep throw that went to
Deebo.
To Deebo today. That's not a ball that he's going to throw. And we saw him, I think Jason saw him throw it against air today before they even got to that point. And it was of the four quarterbacks, he had the worst throw of all of them was Garoppolo's ball.
Who had the best? Who had the best?
Rosen. And say, what is it about Rosen and these one throws? Like, that sidearm throw was electric. And I looked at it and I was like, what just happened?
I know. We won't talk about him anymore. I'm sorry. We got out of my system. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But no, they practiced the deep throws before they did them in the team period. You saw Jimmy Garoppolo. His just died, and then he didn't throw one in the team period.
The thing is that, when you look at it, it's evident that the ball jumps out of Trey Lance's hands, and that's not subjective. That's objective. It really is. And, you saw today, Trey kind of struggled a little bit. He was throwing high, and it wasn't just during 11-on-11s, because people were asking me, hey, was this putting a receiver in a position to win? No. During the drills, when they had, whoever it was that was standing in their position, for him, he was still high. And you noticed that Trey came back to the huddle, and he was trying to work on like his own mechanics. But this is what I enjoyed about what Trey did today. All of those things didn't get him down. And he continued to keep working, and he understood, hey, this is off, but he finished his 11-on-11 reps strong. He had about 3 or 4 completions in a row. 2 of them went to Deebo. One of them was that touchdown, which, that's not a jump ball. And you know what, maybe the safety should have made a play, but that's a throw that's not attempted. And as far as Jimmy Garoppolo goes, I think that it's just who he is. And I don't think anybody should be surprised. Quick, decisive, quick throws here in the intermediate into the flat. He did make a really nice throw to Sanu that, Jimmy Ward and him collided. You guys were closer a little bit for that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody should be surprised as to what Jimmy Garoppolo did, because that's just who he is. And that's not a knock on him. It's okay being able to call what a spade is. And Jimmy Garoppolo is in that quick intermediate game, and that's just his game.
Yeah, I don't know if Trey Lance is winning the quarterback competition. You can't win it in 3 days. But what let me say what he's doing that I really like. He's playing the quarterback position. He's not taking the easy way out. He's not like, I need a good day today. I need to be 7 for 10. Let me check the ball down here, or let me take the easy throw. He's consistently throwing the ball down the field. He's checking the ball down when that's the right call. He's not scrambling. Like today, he was a little off with his accuracy. But you know what? I'm going to run a little bit and give myself a good play. Like, no, I'm going to keep drilling the things that I need to improve on. There was one play where he scrambled to his left, and he could have ran, and he set his feet, turned around, tried to throw down the field to Josh Peterson. It was incomplete, but I like that. That's what he was trying to do. Go ahead.
One more thing, too, is it almost seemed like the 49ers or whoever was dialing up these plays, they dialed up those deeper shots for Trey, and they weren't dialing them up for Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah. Now, again, that is no knock on him. It's just, again, playing to those quarterback strengths. Yeah. Like, if you know a guy can't do that, don't try to smash that square into a circle hole. And Trey Lance showed that it was evident, right? The average depth of target on all of these targets, Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't have been more than maybe 5 yards at the most when you average it all together. Trey Lance's average depth is like 10 to 15 yards easily on all of these throws. I rarely saw him check the ball down. I'll go look at my notes, but I never saw him throw anything that was anywhere near close to where Jimmy was doing it.
And Jack, when you're standing there, isn't the velocity like startling?
Oh yeah, it jumps off his hand. The ball when he throws those out routes, or even the ball down the middle. I mean, that ball doesn't have an arc to it. It's on a line. It's on a rope. That's probably why you have the
Fowler.
Yeah, that thing was. You can almost hear that thing from the sideline. I mean, that thing, and the other thing too, going back to it, the difference between the two is in the second team period, they ran the same play for both Garoppolo and Lance, and you had just kind of hit on that. And you had the incompletion on the throw across the middle, was a bad incompletion on the throw underneath. I don't remember who the receiver was. I remember from Garoppolo stood up and it was just a bad throw, and they came back. They ran the same play with Lance, and that's the one that he hit the deep shot to Deebo on. So they're running the same plays with these guys, and you're seeing you're seeing the results come out different.
That's very interesting. So maybe Lance is winning this quarterback competition, because I'm guessing that Kyle Shanahan wants the ball to go to Deebo on that shot. I'm just saying. And
look, the Richie James drop that was right there on him, and then the other one is the Deebo comeback route. So Deebo gets out of his break and he turns and the ball's in his chest. That's something that he's never seen before at all. And as far as away as I was, I could even notice that, and you could just see that once you're out of the break, you need to turn, the ball's in your chest. And that's something that it wasn't happening before.
Yep. Yeah. Reminds me a little bit of the Kaepernick effect from 10 years ago, but I don't know. My first impression of Trey Lance is that he's obviously better than Colin Kaepernick was. I mean, I know Colin Kaepernick was very good. I'm just comparing them in terms of what I saw from them in practice, which isn't exactly football. You never saw Kaepernick practice.
I was about to say I can't speculate.
Yeah. Does that comparison pop into your mind when you watch Trey?
I don't have any comparison of the two of them. When I watch them play right now, I mean, you can see the Lance doesn't want to run. That's one of the questions that was asked of him yesterday was, about his scrambling ability. And he's not a guy, even when you watch his college film, he's not a guy that when he's dropping back to throw, that's looking to run. His scrambles and his runs are all late in the play when everything's, broken down and not there, and he has no choice but to run. And so that's, you saw that today with him a couple times. I mentioned to you on that one to the left, would have been nice to have seen him take off, even though he's working on the offense, Okay.
All right, let's talk about something else. I'd like to take a minute just to talk about Deebo. People kind of wrote him off this offseason. Like, he got hurt. He's just this. He's just that. To me, he is the early MVP of this training camp. He's the guy who's changed his body the most. He's the guy who's taken the biggest leap. I mean, he's faster than he used to be. He looks more explosive than he used to be. He's producing every day. He hasn't gotten hurt. He looks like he could be the number one wide receiver on this team if he doesn't get hurt. Nothing against Brandon Aiyuk. I just feel like Deebo Samuel is different from what I've seen before. What have you seen? What did you see from Deebo today?
Chip on his shoulder. Just a guy who has heard every single thing that anybody said. And like I said, that comeback route, him going up to get that pass, those are things that weren't in the bag because of other things. I don't have to get into that. I think you guys know. And it seems like he's playing right now with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he's heard everything that's been said. You even heard it in the press conference. I think you guys need to watch more film. I think Deebo hears all that about being, somebody whatever, just good with the ball in his hands and not a receiver, not a real route runner. I think he's heard all those things, and I mean, I'm not gonna, say that that's a good thing, but I mean, it's clear that that's what he's come into camp trying to prove to everybody. Instead of what I mean about a good thing is he shouldn't be listening to outside, but if he's going to use that as motivation, it's a good thing.
Yeah, he looks really good. I mean, you saw him today. I think he had 5 targets, which was tied for most on the team, and he looked really good. He had a really good rapport too with Lance, and two of his catches were both from Lance. that one from Jason, that Jason was referencing. I mean, that ball came at him so fast it actually bounced off his hands. He had to double catch it because it was on him so fast.
Who was the other guy who had 5 targets? Was it Sanu?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I said that Sanu was overhyped, and boom, in my face.
He heard you.
In my face. Good job.
He heard you. I was gonna say, Grant, I don't want to speculate, and I don't like talking to people. Like, again, I didn't see the practices. You see what you see, but Sanu looks solid, man. I don't know, he looked good today, and he looked like he was a target for both guys.
He is solid. All I'm saying is he's Mohamed Sanu. We all know Mohamed Sanu. We've seen Mohamed Sanu for 10 years. People talking like he's gonna come out and have wings and stuff. It's like, man, he's Mohamed Sanu. He's good.
He's the big slot that Kyle's been waiting for, while he waits for Jalen Hurd. But you know what? That's fine. And there's a role for that. Kendrick Bourne, I think the 49er fans right now, when you look at the wide receiver depth, they would kill to have Kendrick Bourne back because of how solid he was. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Chris says, sounds like you're saying there's no play call differences between Jimmy and Trey. Does it look like Trey has been more effective with the calls? Yeah, well, they are installing the same kind of stuff. And Jack sees they go through a walkthrough period at the beginning of the day. They have little walkthrough periods before 11-on-11s, and there's certain things they're trying to work on. So yeah, they're all kind of doing the same stuff. Has Trey been more effective with the call? That's a tough one. I don't know.
They're running them. They're running them at the same. They're running them before practice, and then like I mentioned to Jason, and I'm sure you saw it, where before they go into their team periods, the quarterbacks are throwing to. Yeah. Not necessarily to the receivers, but somebody in the positions where they should be expecting the ball.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. That's what I meant about the accuracy, right? So when they went up from 11-on-11s and they went back to the other side, there was somebody who's standing on the numbers, right? This is where you want the ball to go, and then you throw it, and then you saw Trey at least be a little bit high. So again, giving a receiver a chance is one thing. That guy's not a receiver who's standing there. He's just a guy who works for the team. He's 5'9", so he's a little bit high in those throws. But he also came back to the huddle and was just trying to work on his own mechanics. He understood what was going on, and I really was impressed with. He could have hung his head a few times when he missed a few of those throws, but he came right back and he wanted to work on it. So
I would call this the Fred Warner Award, the most improved player of the offseason, the most valuable player of the training case. Fred Warner owned that. Deebo so far. But again, there's 9 more days. So let's see him keep it up and not pull a hamstring. Knock on wood. I'm not trying to jinx that. All right. Let's talk Brandon Aiyuk. Aiyuk didn't have any catches today, unless I'm mistaken.
Nope.
But he did get some work as a punt returner, which he does every day. And that's not big news. But he was asked after practice, do you want to return punts? And he was like, yes. And 2, I got to earn it. It made it sound like he was dropping punts in practice when we weren't around maybe last year. Fair enough. But he says that, yes, and he's working to try to prove that he's good enough. I think that's really good news, and I'm trying to take credit. But that's neither here nor there. What do you think of Aiyuk's mindset here?
You got it, Jack.
Say it again.
I mean, what do you think of him wanting to do this, campaigning for it, and the Niners kind of being on the fence about it?
Yeah, no, I think it shows his mindset of him wanting to get the ball in his hands, and he wants to be a playmaker. He wants to do what he knows he can do, and he's not going to shy away from the opportunity.
When Aiyuk said in his press conference, yes, I want to, and I should earn it. That's good because he's not feeling like it's going to be handed to him, and that's the mindset that you want, right? And that's a lot of respect for his teammates. And that's really good, honestly. And I saw him take a little bit, but I saw Richie James over there as well too. This is an open competition. And when I believe somebody on Twitter said that Trent Sherfield, I think it was Al Sacco, Trent Sherfield's going to make this roster. I think he is, and as a wide receiver and that as well too. So that was something that was kind of, again, this when we talked about I believe it was one of our last shows when we talked about being on the bubble and Richie James, you're dropping passes. You're not making an impact on punt returns. They're clearly trying to figure out this punt return situation because they're not they're not good with it. So yes, and it's good that Aiyuk is humble enough to say I have to earn it. But yeah, you want at the end of the day, coaches scheme up the best plays for guys to put the ball in their hands and go. And that's how it should be for punt returns as well, too. So always put the ball in the hands of your best playmakers, and Brandon Aiyuk is one of them. So I love his attitude, and I love that he's acting like it won't be handed to him.
And I understand people being like, well, if he's the number one wide receiver on the team, then he's too important. I guess there's an argument to be made there because you would hate to have some guy that you're throwing 150 targets a season go down because of a punt return. But I don't think he's in that position right now. I mean, you guys are there. Like Deebo Samuel's having this great camp. Kittle's still on the team. It's a run-first team. If he doesn't return punts, you might be looking at a guy who is like underutilized.
I mean, well, the thing is too, it's like a lot of the stuff about Aiyuk too. It's like he understands, he's return pumps. He's gonna fair catch it when it's like. So I understand the injury concern, but he's not gonna put himself in a bad spot. He still knows how to do this. So I'm not necessarily as worried about the injury thing. It's like it's more about the fear of if that happens, but I don't think that it's a high likely chance that it will happen. If that makes sense.
That's the way I look at it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos says, how do you guys feel about the Niners potentially signing Jordan Matthews?
Shanahan's guys. If you're a Shanny guy, you're always going to find your way onto this roster, man. And he's one of them. He literally switched positions and Shanahan's still like, I'm good with it. Let's bring him in. Like look, coach has tunnel vision on his guys and he's always going to give them shots. So there should be no surprise that Jordan Matthews is on this team.
Well, Michael Pruitt went down today.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That could be part of the reason.
Did they sign him? Is he signed?
Yes.
Apparently, yes.
Done deal.
Oh no.
Done deal.
Oh.
Done deal. And he moved to tight end. And Pruitt is going to be out with the calf. We heard later on, but yeah, this absolutely makes sense. Again, when Shanny likes you, you're going to be on his roster, and that's it. He trusts who he trusts, and he doesn't who he doesn't. So.
Okay, well, let's stick with this for a minute because this is breaking news. Okay, so Jordan Matthews, what do we know? He's like 235-ish.
Yeah,
he's right about the same.
He's
right about the same as Ross Dwelly, right in that ballpark.
And the thing was interesting, like Pruitt was on the team. In my opinion, it seemed like he was here to be a blocker. So him and Jordan Matthews aren't necessarily the same type of tight end, considering Jordan Matthews never been a tight end, but tight ends nonetheless. They need a tight end, and so now there's more pressure on Charlie Werner to actually do something.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. With Jordan Matthews, he kind of becomes like this chess piece if you want to use him in that way, because you're not using him as a blocker. If Jordan Matthews is on the field, he's not on there as a blocker. You can split him out and, close to the line, at tight in the slot, those type of things. But I just feel like the move to tight end is a move in like name only, because that's all he can really offer is like intermediate, those tough catches for like first downs and such. But again, when Shanny likes you, and he likes what you bring to the team, you're always going to find your way onto this roster. And that's the same thing that happened with Jordan Matthews here.
Well, congrats, Jordan. I'm glad we could talk about you. I'm looking forward to covering you again for like the 18th time. Sorry. He's back, baby. He's back. Hollyworld says, why do you guys think the Niners are working all the DNs out but not looking at Houston?
They like listen. They have a good rotation. Ebukam was out there with the ones. They showed him at the line, and then he dropped back and those things. It wasn't during 11-on-11s, but I think they like what they have, and I think that the 49ers right now are using this training camp to evaluate what they have, and if they feel like that's the need down the line, then they will make it, but they can't make that move until they actually see what they have in house first. Like, you don't go jump. And I know Justin Houston's a name, and I know that he can jump in and contribute immediately. But I think that the way that they're doing things is that they want to evaluate what they have inside, and they feel really good about this defensive line. I mean, 2019 is obviously not going to be the same thing because DeForest Buckner is one of one, and you're not going to be able to replace that. But there's an argument to be made that this defensive line as a whole is deeper than 2019 as a whole, even with DeForest Buckner like not there. It's like of the sum of its parts. Mo Hurst, Kerr, all those guys, everything. DJ Jones kind of flashed a little today as well too. So I think that you're just going to evaluate what they have first before they make a decision on Justin Houston. And if they feel like that's the need, then maybe that's something they'll explore.
Yeah. Plus they have D Ford. When the Justin Houston thing was really being talked about at that point, none of us thought D Ford was going to be on the roster or somebody that could be even a chess piece potentially. So like Jason said, they're going to kind of let this thing play out, and Ford's part of that, letting it play out and see where he is and if he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to contribute.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to mention that Ford was out there practicing today and Bosa wasn't. Now,
and he was out there. And he was out there with the ones. So when they came
Yes.
out and in the beginning, because that's what I was looking for in the beginning. It's like,
Yes.
okay, who's taking Tart's spot?
Right.
Tavon Wilson was out there, and then you saw Tim Harris on the other side. But D Ford was out there right away.
He wasn't doing 11 on 11s, but he was out there for the first half of the practice, and Bosa wasn't. He went through all the drills and looked good. So he's healthier right now than Nick Bosa. It's just something to keep in mind.
Or like again, I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. Right now they're bringing Ford along cautiously, which I think is the absolute right approach. And we've talked about this. He's not a practice player. Stop messing around with him in practice. Get him ready for Sundays and just get him going. With Bosa, I kind of feel like that was kind of the right thing to do with the 3 days. I know that people were panicked a little bit, but take it slow with Bosa. I think that's fine, especially when we're considering his day 3 of training camp.
I'm just saying, as vet on the beat, when they say rest day and a guy's coming back from an ACL, it means soreness. And Bosa yesterday said he's been having soreness. So it means like probably a tiny little setback. Not that a bad one, usually one that like 1 day off can fix. But I'm just saying, like, he's working through some pain and soreness still in that thing. I don't know if Ford's in that boat. Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah. The real question is, can Trey Lance launch a football onto a pizza oven? I don't know. Until he can, he just gets to be the quarterback.
Look, I wasn't there yesterday, but apparently the word on the street was best quarterback on the field yesterday was Coach.
He's
not
really
today.
working on his release. He's got good eye discipline. I mean, he never telegraphs his throws. He's good. Jay Mangold says, Grant, how does Mike McGlinchey look? Yesterday you had him as good. Does he show improvement? That super chat with nothing was supposed to be this. McGlinchey got beat for a sack today by Cohn, and I didn't really make a big deal out of it, but that did happen. I think we should probably keep our expectations probably reasonable with Mike McGlinchey. He's gained some weight. He is a good run blocker. He's not going to be an elite pass. If he were an elite pass protector, he'd be a left tackle right now, and Trent Williams would be making quarterback money. So I think it's be just reasonable with our expectations for McGlinchey. What do you guys see with McGlinchey?
He seemed fine. He looked good to me for the most part. I know that they were giving up some pressures, but Ebicom's had a really good day today. The defensive line as a whole, from what I saw today, had a really good day. I think they dominated, and even Kyle Shanahan kind of alluded to that in his press conference about the defense getting the better of the offense.
And another thing is, without pads, it's hard to understand, what guys are doing because they don't want to hit. And that's the thing. I don't want to take too much from it because there are no pads and you don't really want to, bump guys. And, maybe Ebicom beat him with a move. Again, it's really hard to see from the other side. But, the defensive line did have a good day today. You saw Trey Lance leave the pocket but also throw the ball. And Jimmy Garoppolo even had, a little bit of crowding around him while he had to step into the pocket. So, yeah, they did. But, I guess for me as a camp newbie, I kind of want to see what happens when pads go on, when guys are allowed to really put their weight into certain things before I can make any judgment.
Feel you. What up, Grant? You think they'll keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster, and who you think will edge it out? What do you guys think?
All right. At this point, is it fair to say that what's his name? Sudfeld might be number 3. So here's the thing. I saw Sudfeld today during drills throw some really nice balls, but then he went 0 for 3 during 11 on 11s.
Yeah.
Then Rosen makes this sidearm throw, and then he's the only one who throws an interception of all the 4 quarterbacks. So I don't know. There's probably going to be 3 and 1 guy on the practice squad. I think that
wasn't big. It was a nice play by Diamador, though.
But he dropped it?
Yeah, he dropped it. But it was a hell of a play by Diamador.
It should have been. All right. So all right. So I think the Scangarello connection would keep Sudfeld on this roster if that means anything. I don't know. I could be off base.
The Scangarello connection. That sounds like a blockbuster movie. I like that. Scangarello connection. I like that. What do you think, Jack? Yeah. 3 quarterbacks in this roster?
I think they're going to keep 3 at least for that's the way that's kind of pointing. That's what this question was. Again, this question was asked today, and Shanahan said, I'd rather have 2, but at the same time. With one of them on the practice squad, but right now I'm feeling more comfortable with 3. So that could mean lots of different things, with everything that's going on with the guy that's taking the starters reps right now. I'm
gonna give a real clear answer. A real clear answer. All right, 3 quarterbacks are gonna make this team. Here's who those quarterbacks are gonna be. Okay. Nate Sudfeld, Josh Rosen, Trey Lance. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And Jimmy Garoppolo is going to win 13 games this season for the Indianapolis Colts.
Wow.
Barry Baller 18 says, Grant, you got bowling IG after the show.
You going bowling? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get what he means.
Yeah. It's not the best. I mean, it's not the best shirt. I'll just put it that way. But I got it at an outlet, which I always like getting at an outlet. I like outlets. You know what I'm saying? It's the jersey. I'm sorry.
You know what else too? And it's like I got a chance to see you guys. You guys were walking around, and Grant is like Grant might as well be wearing like the fake nose and the mustache with like glasses. And a hat. He is so incognito right now. It's just like when we were looking around, you could tell we're like, okay, there's Tracy Sandler. Yeah. Oh, there's this guy, and then I was like, wait a minute, there he is because he's wearing that hat really low.
Yeah, man. A lot of people don't like me. I don't know. I don't trust people out in these streets. All right, David says, if you had to choose between keeping Nate Sudfeld or eating tacos, what kind of tacos would you have? I like tacos.
Steak.
I had great tacos this weekend at in San Diego. I forget what the place is called. It's hella good though. But yeah, tacos are good. Tacos underrated. Tony says, does Carson Wentz injury make the Colts a trade destination for Jimmy? Hell yeah! Can I get a hell yeah? Hell yeah! This is what they're waiting for. You can't miss this. Jimmy isn't going anywhere. Yeah, all right, Jeremy. All right.
I don't know. Like, I'll stick to my prediction that he's going to be the week 1 guy, you know. But today, like I said, today didn't really tell you anything that you didn't know about Jimmy Garoppolo. If you were there, if you get what I mean.
All right, let's talk about a running back. Fans really excited about Trey Sermon. He may be really good. He's big. Elijah Mitchell though was the one today who had the nice runs, and he's been doing this every day. So I would just like to hear your thoughts. Jack, why don't you go first with Mitchell? What do you see? You had the up close look.
Yeah, no, the thing with Mitchell that's he's very quick and fast, and he does a really good job of running between the tackles. That's what we saw today. Everything with him was between the tackles, and he just seemed to be, you know, he plants his foot and he's gone, and he has a little bit of good movement, but everything's still driving forward. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does when they put the pads on Tuesday.
You know, we talked about it right after the draft, right? It's just like, what do these guys profile as, right? Sermon profiles like that back that they've never had, like a much better Tevin Coleman that they used to use in 2019 to soften the defense up. And Elijah Mitchell profiles like Raheem Mostert. That's not taking away from Raheem Mostert, because I think that his vision and his burst gets lost, you know, because people say, hey, he's 30, you can move him. But I think that the 49ers looked at this objectively. You know, Raheem Mostert's not on under contract. How do you, and they love that speed element, so how do you fill that? And I think Elijah Mitchell fills that very well, and you can see it when he's on the field. He just has that extra giddy up that, you know, makes Raheem Mostert the home run hitter, and they still want that, and I think that's exactly what Elijah Mitchell brings to this team.
When I saw that they drafted him, of course I'd never seen a clip of him before they drafted him, and I looked at his pro day numbers, and he looked like, okay, he's Raheem Mostert's replacement. He's going to be running outside zone, getting to the edge. He's fast. But then I watched the clips of him, and he does play in like a kind of a pistol offense and runs between the tackles, and he's kind of thick. And today he was running between the tackles. He isn't exactly what I expected just based on his physical profile. I think maybe Niner fans don't know exactly what to expect, but both him and Sermon are going to give this team like a between the tackles presence that they didn't have. They've never had when Kyle Shanahan. It's that they haven't had since Carlos freaking Hyde, or I don't know.
Frank Gore?
Yeah, Frank Gore, Alfred Morris, whatever you want to say. It's like that they have 2 guys, not just one.
You know, and that's the thing too, is about Sermon, is he kind of profiles like Frank Gore. Like Frank Gore has this like low center of gravity that is hard to bring him down, and that's what Sermon has. But Elijah Mitchell, that home run ability, that's something that Shanahan very much values, obviously, in this offense.
Sean Shepard says, what do you guys think of the O-line as a whole?
It's tough for me to say. You guys were closer. It's tough for me to say because, again, there's no pads, and I don't know what they're allowing, and how many of those plays would have been sacks if they allow guys to get through and they're playing through pads. So I defer to you guys. You guys were closer.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of pressure on those guys, and the 49ers have a really good defensive line, but how much of that 49er defensive line look is because the offensive line's struggling, you know, and they do have a little bit of an advantage right now without all the pads on, but still, it's I think they held up okay at times.
Alex Martis says, what I read is that every 3rd day is a planned rest day for most. Is that not the case?
Kyle said that.
Okay, well, it's necessary because Bosa said yesterday he's got soreness in his knee. So I guess that's the right call.
Kyle said that. That's what Kyle said. I don't know if I'm making it clear. Like he said that.
He said that.
He said that.
Keep that in mind. These are what things people say.
That's what he said. Yes. He said those words out of his mouth.
Jordan Rinaldi says, if the Niners keep Lance Rosen and Sudfeld but miss the playoffs, would Kyle be fired? No, I would be fired because I'm the quality control guy who told him to do that, especially if Jimmy went to Indy and made the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. What do you think? I mean, that's worst case.
No. With Trey Lance, he knew what he was doing when he picked him. It reset his clock. He's got a few years, so no chance. I don't think that happens.
No, I don't think so either.
Okay, let's move on. We talked about Richie James Jr. We don't have to dedicate an entire topic to Richie James Jr. Let's just say that he needs to get his shit together. Thank you, Richie. Come on, catch the ball. We like you. We all like you.
Yeah.
All right, let's just go straight to Jalen Hurd because today I came into camp being, I'm getting a video of Jalen Hurd. I'm gonna put a video up and it's gonna be him doing nothing and it's gonna be 25,000 views easy. I'm eating, but no, I couldn't even get that because he wasn't there today. I guess he had another rest day. Great. And I'm starting to feel like it's harder to find him than it is to get like Charizard. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like the Mewtwo. I'm just going all kind of Pokemon references here.
Yeah. So for the Pokemon crowd, those are the rarest.
The rarest of the rare. Anyway, it's like if you get a picture of Jalen Hurd, it's like getting a Charizard card. One time in 6th grade, this kid named Darren that I knew brought a Charizard card to school and he lost it. And he said,
"That's a flex."
Wow. He lost it though. He had the teacher ask the kids, "Hey, Darren lost his Charizard. If you find it," and we all looked at Darren. He was like crying, trying to hold back tears because he knew he wasn't getting it back, and we all knew he wasn't getting it back. It's like, dude, if I find that Charizard, are you kidding? That's mine. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That was 1999. Anyway, so Jalen Hurd. What I'm trying to say is that dude, it's time for you to do something, man. Because right now I'm feeling like he's the new Jerick McKinnon on the team. The guy that's like, man, he's gonna be so good. He's gonna be so good. He just hasn't played in 3 years, but when he gets back, he's gonna. I don't really think we have a discussion here. No, I don't know what question to ask you, but I'm just expressing an emotion about Jalen Hurd. How do you guys feel about Jalen Hurd? Is it realistic to expect him to become an impact player at this point?
It's not realistic, but it's what the 49ers want to do. It's a 3rd-round pick, and I hate to keep saying it, but you passed on Terry McLaurin for Jalen Hurd. God help us all.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to downplay the guy or anything like that. It's clear that a 3rd-round pick isn't a throwaway. Fred Warner was a 3rd-round pick. It's just like you have to find a way to get this guy on the field. And look, I don't want to read too much into it. It's only the 3rd day. But, man, they have to make this work with Jalen Hurd because that's a big whiff, especially when you consider the person that I just named that they let go and they didn't draft, who Kyle saw at the Senior Bowl. That's the other thing. It's like you saw Terry at the Senior Bowl. It's not like he was some obscure guy who played for, Utah State. No, this is a guy who was right there in front of your screen, and you watched him and you let him go. So they got to make it work. It's not realistic, but I hope. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The realistic part of it is we have no idea what this guy is because we've seen him for one quarter like 3 years ago. So we're all hoping that's what he becomes the guy that that excites everybody. But really the signing of Jordan Matthews, I think Jordan Matthews has just as much likelihood of kind of replacing Jalen Hurd if Jalen Hurd's not able to go because they're very similar in what they can bring to the table.
Yeah. And the thing about Jalen Hurd is, forgive me, this is going to sound blasphemous. We don't even know if he's good. I mean, really. He played wide receiver for 1 year at Baylor, came to the Niners, had like 2 weeks, made a couple catches, had a couple. We don't even know if he's good. And then he really hasn't played since 2018. So I'm getting big-time Jerick McKinnon vibes. I'm very much looking forward to putting out a video with his face in it because that's big-time views for me. But come on, guys. At a certain point, we're going to have to let the dream go. But not yet. Not yet.
And to call it a maintenance day after like an ACL and it's been this long, it's like a little bit concerning.
Like a maintenance life? I'm sorry. But
when I hear maintenance, I think that my car is not working properly.
That's
like
not
I don't give my car a day off because it needs a maintenance day. Like you take it to the shop and you fix it.
Hollywood.
Speaking of cars, real quick. Speaking of cars, before we get into this one, speaking of cars, I saw the blue Stinger today. Oh my God, that thing is scary. Right on.
Thank you. I love it. I picked Vision up in it this weekend, and he's very excited. He FaceTimed his friend Blake to show him the leather inside. He's like, "Look at the leather!" I always thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, Hollyworld 73 says, "Hey, only if it's a shiny Charizard." That's a good point. I forgot. It's been 20 years. They had to be shiny, right? There were like degrees of Charizard. He's a shiny Charizard. Dude is a shiny Charizard. I don't know if he plays like a shiny Charizard, but Alex Martis says, "Grant, don't apologize for being fly as." Thank you. I won't. That's a good lesson for all the people out there. Never apologize for being fly.
Hey, I'll tell you this. You were dripping on the sidelines with your hat and the glasses and everything. You know, like me, I wouldn't have been able to pull up today. And if I was credentialed, like I wouldn't have pulled up with this shirt. Like no way. No way it would have happened.
Hold on, let's see.
Yeah. No way that I would have been able to pull up with this. That's cool. Like it was kind of a good thing, you know, at the end of the day.
Thanks. Dude says your hate for Jimmy is real. What? Me? I don't hate Jimmy. What is wrong with him if he's healthy? Yes, I know healthy is not Jimmy lately, but I hope Trey gets a drive per game to ease him in.
Jimmy was fine today. I don't see how us objectively telling you that what Jimmy Garoppolo has done historically with the way that he throws the ball was what he did today. That's not hate. And if this is some sort of wake-up call for you, I feel bad because now this is a rude awakening because it's something that's normal. Like, look, he was strong, decisive, but the throws were intermediate. Average depth of target, maybe 5 yards for Jimmy Garoppolo. Average depth of target for Trey Lance, 15 and up. Every single throw. That's all I can tell you, bro. Like, that's it. That's not us speculating or hating. This is what happened today. And I don't know what else I need to say.
There's really nothing else to say. You're hitting right on the nail, right on the head with that one.
I mean, like, yeah, Lance is a little inconsistent today. He was, 5 of 10? A little inconsistent today. So was Jimmy. It's Jimmy. You've seen Jimmy. You know who Jimmy Garoppolo is, just like you know who Mohamed Sanu is. I mean, yeah, he's all right, but they're past that, man.
Yeah.
You know?
And he was 5 of 10. I'm talking about Lance. He was 5 of 10. But again, we talked already about, yesterday you talked about the drops. He had another drop today with the drop over the middle by, I think it was Richie James. So, he should have been 6 of 10. Sure. And that would have given him both the same number of completions, but his throws are just going farther down the field.
And then the other thing is the degree of difficulty. So again, objectively, like putting the numbers up and just saying 7 of 11, and that doesn't paint a picture for you. There's no context to that. That's why today's word, I'm wearing Sesame Street. The word of the day, guys, context. It is not the same thing. It's not every completion is complete is equal. And it starts with a C. It's called context. And that's the thing. Jimmy Garoppolo is attempting passes that are easier and completing them. That's why 7 of 11.
And you know what that looks like. You've seen it before. You know what that looks like. So, yeah. You don't really know what the Trey Lance thing looks like. You're going to like it. I'm saying.
I'm telling you are.
Like, I don't think he should play yet. Just watch him.
The Richie James drop was a dart. It was right in there. Like, you got to bring that in, especially if you're Richie James trying to fight. Like, Mohamed Sanu, there's a gap. Mohamed Sanu is the number 3 receiver, and then there's just like a gap in between, like whoever it is that they want to run there. Like as far as what I've seen from what you've said and what I saw today.
I like Juwan Jennings a couple of times in OTAs, but he's got to get back. He's still on the COVID list. So.
COVID list.
Mywook Sniper, I didn't even get close to that, says, what does Hurd and Marcus Lattimore have in common? Hurd and Marcus Lattimore tore ligaments that didn't even exist in his knee. He invented ligaments to tear, so I wouldn't put him on that. I mean, no.
I don't know. No. Yeah, that one's tough. I was gonna say they're both football players. I don't know. That's what
John says in your article you mentioned that Kittle has looked unkittle so far. Can you provide some more details? Do you think he's not motivated enough? I'm not saying that, but all I know is that before he got the mega contract, he was always the main attraction at practice. It was him, and since he's gotten it. It's not. And maybe that's a choice by the coaches. Maybe they want to, feature Aiyuk and Deebo. I have no idea what to make of it, but I'm just filing it away in case he has a down season. I'm going to remember it because he's not really doing much. And even as a blocker, he had a holding call today. He argued it. He was like, really? Calling holding in camp. Yeah, George, on you. Best blocking tight end in the league. Get it right. That guy was a stickler. I respected that ref. He wasn't taking that shit. Grant God says, who has a stronger arm, Rosen or Lance? Oh, I like this question.
What?
Lance has a stronger arm, but Rosen throws a sexy deep ball. He just does. He really does.
He just has that one throw. I mean, because I wasn't there for the other one, but that throw, that sidearm throw, like even I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it. And I could see it from that far. Like he literally got it like out. Like that was a Mahomes type throw again.
Well, he's a Mahomes type quarterback, so it makes sense. I'm sorry, you set it up. You teed it up.
God.
No, when they did that little throw the deep ball portion, you had Jimmy Garoppolo, his ball died, and then everyone else had a nice deep ball, including Sudfeld. But I think Rosen's that's the best throw he has. It's got the arc, it's got the perfect spiral. Beauty.
Grant.
You got to slow it down and put RZA beats to it behind. You know what I'm saying? What?
Grant, give it up. It's done.
Okay.
The Rosen thing is done. Let's just stop.
It's gonna be the number two quarterback on this team next year.
Oh, I hate it. I don't like.
Yeah,
well, you're talking about another whole situation, but go ahead.
Absolutely. Okay, Johns, we got you already. So I think there's more. There's more. Ominous says the new cop-out answer when you don't want to answer a question is we're working on things. Maybe Jalen Hurd is also.
I saw you tweet that. He's like, I'm working through it.
I'm working through the details. What did they say? You're working through the details and evaluating. Like, I love that answer. I'm using that for everything from now on. And when my wife says, "Hey, you got to throw out the trash," I'm kind of working through it right now. Like, I let's just see how it goes over when I get back. I'm still working through the details and evaluating. That is what you say. Anytime someone asks you to do something you don't want to do. Oh, yeah, I'm still working through the details and evaluating. That's a fair answer. I love that. Oh, so we should say real quick, I meant to say this during the Brandon Aiyuk section. He's not vaccinated yet. And I'm not shaming him like he's a bad person. You got to do this. That's his choice. It's just that when you're on a football team, the NFL is structured in such a way that now he's a liability to an extent to the team if he gets COVID. So him, Jason Verrett, Nick Bosa, three very important people who are not vaccinated. Something to keep in mind. Mohamed Sanu getting vaccinated, that's good news. If you're a Niner fan, not if you're COVID.
I know exactly what you just did right there. I mean, the thing is that, if it's Josh Hokett who doesn't want to get vaccinated, if it's Dakota Shipley who doesn't want to get vaccinated, fine. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not passing judgment either. Do your own research. It's up to you. Listen, completely your choice. But again, the NFL has been kind of rigid. It's listen, the NFL isn't forcing you into it, but they are telling you the consequences if you don't. So,
and not personal consequences; it's team consequences.
Yes, and those are very important players. All three of them.
Mm-hmm. Matthew says, fellas. I love when people refer to me as a fella. It makes me feel like a real man. Says, I'll be relying on you more later, but if draft day was tomorrow and you need a fantasy wide receiver, who it gonna be, Aiyuk or Samuel?
Deebo right now, because the way they manufacture his touches at this point, and they have a concerted effort, and he looks better. Listen, ask me this question before I showed up yesterday, maybe down last week, I would have told you Aiyuk. But the way that they manufacture those touches behind the line of scrimmage, and he's so good after the catch, it's almost like Deebo's going to be a value at the end of drafts or later on, that people are going to kind of sleep on him and go for Aiyuk because of what he did last year. So you can get Deebo later and possibly have a better reward. There's my fantasy spiel.
Deebo's got that chip on his shoulder that reminded me of Crabtree. I remember Crabtree was kind of not good with Alex Smith, and then Vernon Davis was the go-to guy, and they lost in the playoffs, and then they brought Randy Moss, Manningham, A.J. Jenkins. Everyone kind of wrote off Crabtree, and he came in and was just a whole different guy in 2012. That's kind of what I've seen with Deebo. Everyone wrote him off, kind of well, he's dead, he can't, he's this and that. Aiyuk is way better, and boom, this guy's in great shape. And now Aiyuk, I mean, he's the one who's been getting praised all offseason. He's the one who doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. Let's see what he's got. Curious. Yeah. Not that he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, it's just he hasn't had to put one on yet. You can't just manufacture that chip. You can't just manufacture chips. It doesn't work that way. If it did, is there what?
I was going to ask you, do you think that Deebo is really that much better, or do you think that he's just looking better because he's getting the ball?
Yeah, I think that the disconnect in fantasy football and reality football is that you don't have to be good at reality football to be good at fantasy football, and you could be a really good football player and not be good at fantasy football. But I think just the way that he's utilized, the way that he's come out so far, they're going to throw him the ball. Look, again, if you're playing in a PPR league and they throw that ball behind the line of scrimmage and he catches it, that's a catch. That's 1 point already, and then everything after that is gravy. So
that's why I don't play that game.
Yeah, Deebo seems to be integral, and that's the line that needs to be like, I'm a big fantasy guy, as you guys know.
I know you are.
But there's a line that needs to be like drawn in who's really good at football and who's really good at fantasy football. There's plenty of guys who are good at fantasy football that aren't good at real football, if that makes sense. Not Deebo.
Loki Smoke. That's a great name, man. Loki Smoke says, is there another 49er looking to get traded besides Jimmy G, possibly Mostert? Armstead? Depends on what you mean by looking to get traded. I think Mostert wants to be here. I think Armstead wants to be here. I don't know. I think it's Jimmy. Am I missing anyone here? Maybe Jalen Hurd. I don't know. You had to throw it. I just like mentioning Jalen. I like saying Jalen Hurd.
Apparently.
I like saying Jalen. I'm always thinking about Jalen Hurd. No, I don't think anyone else.
No, I mean, I guess what he means by looking to be traded is who can be traded. And I don't know if there's anybody right now. We talked about the cornerback depth. I'm still worried about it. We talked about, safeties. I don't think that there's anybody that you can really move from safety. Defensive line, I think they're good. I don't really know if there's any other candidates to be traded is what I think he really means.
I read a tweet today that I got traded to the Colts. That doesn't count.
As quality control?
I don't know. I was false, though. I definitely didn't get traded to the Colts because I don't.
Is it, or did ESPN say it was a 98% chance that you were the trade chip?
Schefter said I was definitely going to the Colts and he had to walk it back. It's been that kind of year. Jeremy says, Grant and Hammer, when Jimmy balls is here, don't watch every TD pass and say Lance would have done it better. Come on, man. People like Jeremy. I love Jeremy too. What are fans like Jeremy gonna do when Trey Lance is starting week 1? What's gonna happen?
Well, I'll tell you what. Jeremy's a good dude though, because a guy like Jeremy's gonna be right behind Trey Lance. He really likes, he's excited by him, but he pumps up Jimmy like crazy.
Yeah, he does. He's cautious. I respect it. He's cautious. He doesn't want to rush things. They're not rushing things.
That's exactly it. He's cautious and doesn't want. Yeah, exactly. That's
a safe bet. The safe bet is Jimmy in week 1. That's a safe bet.
Rosen equals Mahomes. We wasted picks on Lance. See, we can do it too. Yup.
There you go.
He is. I heard Kellen Mond's tearing it up for the Vikings too.
No, you didn't. You saw one pair. You saw
I
one
didn't even
video
see
of him
it.
throwing
Mitch told me that there was one pass that looked good.
One.
Sorry.
And then but then you leave out the other ones that Kirk Cousins is dropping the ball in a rope into Justin Jefferson and Thielen. Get out of here with that.
Kellen Mond's taking that job. Week 1, Kellen Mond.
I reject that narrative, Grant. I reject it.
Week 1, baby. It's happened. I just spoke it into existence. Too late. Dizza says, is John Lynch deserving of 11th ranked GM? Oh.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad thing. I think that that's a credit to there's a lot of great GMs in this league. That's not a – I don't think that that's a slight.
Yeah.
No, so.
I'll give it to him. Just because it's John Lynch. Just because I like him. Because he went to Stanford. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
All right. It's 6:30. It's time to start the weekend. Thank you everyone for watching. Thanks to you guys for participating. It was a lot of fun. Are you gonna be at practice tomorrow, Jason?
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna be there, Jack?
I won't be there tomorrow, but I'll be there next week.
Okay.
Yeah, be there Tuesday for sure.
Okay, so don't get too crazy tonight. We got work tomorrow.
Well, I mean, hey, it's right now on East Coast time. Right now is 9:30. I normally would be relaxing, but hey, the sun's out. It's 6:30, California. Let's go.
Nice. All right.
I will be at practice tomorrow, though. I will.
Cool. All right, guys.
Nice.
I'm gonna go take a shower and change this shirt. Thanks a lot, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.